A mom called me the other day in tears. She had a 16-year-old daughter who hadn't spoken to her in 3 days. She had been worrying about her kid, but not speaking to her for this long was something new. And in tears, she told me something that I'll never forget. She said, "I don't know if my daughter hates me or if she's just depressed." And it was startling to me because what was going on was so obvious to me, but not at all obvious to this mom. And that phone call taught me something that can save your relationship with your teen. So by the end of this episode, you will know how to tell if your teen is depressed or if they're just disconnected. I'll give you 6 exact signs that reveal the truth. And the first step to take right now before things get worse. I've worked with hundreds of families in this exact situation. I've sat in living rooms all over the country, speaking with parents who thought they had lost their child forever. What I'm about to share could be the difference between losing your teen or bringing them closer to you, because depression and disconnection look so similar on the surface, but underneath they're totally different. Let me start by telling you about 2 girls. Each girl is 16. Both of them had become withdrawn from their family. Both of them were making their parents' lives miserable. But one girl needed connection and the other girl needed immediate professional help. And the difference between them will surprise you, and I'll show you what it was in just a moment. The first girl is Sarah. Sarah used to be very close to her mom. They would talk after school every day. They would laugh together. They would share stories. It was a very easy, natural relationship. And then things changed with Sarah. Sarah started spending more time with her friends. She got her first boyfriend, and most notably, she seemed irritated anytime her mom tried to connect with her. So simple little questions like, "How was your day?" were met with short responses, "Fine." And then Sarah would head straight to her room. And this mom became so concerned that she missed some early signs of what actually was going on. Sarah still played soccer. She kept her grades up. She still went out with her friends on the weekends. She just didn't want to be close to her mom anymore. And that was the first clue. Let me tell you about Emma now. Emma's story began the same way. Emma had similarly become more distant, less talkative. She was pulling away from her parents. But there were other things going on in Emma's life. Emma stopped hanging out with her friends. She quit the drama club in high school that was so important to her. She started sleeping all weekend. Emma wasn't just disconnected from her parents, she was disconnected from her entire world. Now, at first glance, these 2 kids looked very similar. They both pulled back and their parents could not reach them. But the wrong response to each situation can actually make it worse. So here's the distinction that can literally save your child's life and your relationship. Over time, I've learned to watch for 6 specific patterns, and I've seen this hundreds of times. The third one is the one that most parents miss and is often the most telling. But number 1, their overall functioning. A disconnected teen still has energy and interest in all aspects of their life. That was Sarah. Life outside the home was steady. Her grades were solid. She kept going to soccer practice. She enjoyed her friends. But for Sarah, she had just disengaged at home. Depression, on the other hand, affects everything in your life. Emma's grades dropped. She quit debate. She ignored texts from her friends. Even simple tasks like getting dressed felt impossible to her. Number 2 is energy. Disconnected teens have energy. They just don't want to spend it on you. They will be out with their friends all day, all night, and they come home acting drained and depressed. Depressed teens feel low everywhere. Like I said, Emma slept for 12 hours and she still felt tired. She often skipped showering, sometimes for days. Getting dressed for school felt overwhelming to her. Okay, number 3, this is a biggie. This is the one that can really tell you, and that is their social connections. And parents miss this one a lot. It's really the clearest clue for you. A disconnected teen will usually invest more in their friends, sometimes way more than before. They become what we call peer-oriented. In Sarah's case, you could see this because she was glued to her phone, texting constantly, always distracted in the back and forth with her friends. On the other hand, Emma actually started avoiding her friends. She'd make excuses not to hang out. Even at school, you might find her eating lunch by herself. That difference alone can tell you what you're dealing with. All right, number 4 is mood. Disconnected teens might be irritable with you, but they're fine with their peers and teachers. Depressed teens, they carry that flatness of mood everywhere they go. And even Emma's teachers notice this with her. Okay, sign number 5 is self-care. This is another big clue. A disconnected teen might leave laundry everywhere, but they're still going to shower and dress and generally be clean. But depression will strip all of this away. Like I said, Emma had stopped showering for days at a time, and sometimes she didn't want to get out of her pajamas. Lastly, number 6, the future. Listen to how they talk about their future. Disconnected teens still believe good things are ahead, even when they're frustrated with you. But depressed teens, they lose that belief. Emma started saying things like, I'm just no good at anything, or what's the point? It was like she had already given up. Sometimes both of these things can happen together. A teen can be depressed and disconnected, or just, normal individuation when kids want to become independent and autonomous and they want more space. But sometimes that can slide into depression if the gap gets too wide. So that's why your response has to match what's actually happening. With a disconnected teen, your job is to rebuild the bridge. I've got dozens of videos and podcast episodes that will teach you how to do this. Basically, you need to stop the lectures, meet them where they are. You need to show up, and sometimes even show up in quiet ways. You need to show interest in their world without needing them to come to your world first. Sarah's mom actually started asking her about her boyfriend instead of criticizing him. She focused way more on listening than talking, and slowly over time, Sarah began to open up to her again. But when it's depression, connection actually still matters so much, but that's not enough. This is when professional help is really critical. So Emma's parents got her into therapy, and they found some small ways to stay close to her. Like they would just sit with her during TV. They might bring her a snack, just little things, send her a little message or so forth. Here's what you can do right now if you're not sure. Pay close attention to these telltale signs. Loss of interest in things they used to enjoy, changes in their mood, irritability, changes in their energy, changes in their social connections or their social life, changes in their self-care. I see this pattern all the time, and parents who act quickly will get better outcomes. Delays can actually make things worse. I've seen some parents rush to therapy when all their kid needed was the parent to show up in their world in a different way. The key here is to look at the whole picture and not just the part that's hurting you. Emma's parents saw her withdrawing everywhere, and they took that seriously. Sarah's parents saw her life outside the home was still vibrant, so they focused on drawing nearer to her again and repairing the relationship with her. Both approaches worked because they matched the reality of the situation. So my final thoughts, whether it's disconnection or depression, your relationship matters so much. It might be what actually brings them back or what carries them through. But pay close attention to these signs and act sooner rather than later. If you saw your teen in Sarah's or Emma's story, don't wait. I've got dozens of free videos and podcast episodes to help you right now. And if you're ready for step-by-step guidance, my full parenting course called Connection and Credibility will walk you through how to rebuild trust and strengthen your relationship. You can find it all on drtoddtalks.com. All right, I'll see you next time.